Hello and welcome to the second tutorial key point video. This was a very topical tutorial and underlined the value of keeping up with current affairs and applying the knowledge gained from the course to what is happening. Not only does that deepen your understanding, but lays down a foundation for higher quality answers in TMAs and the exam. It also makes you a better lawyer. We discussed first of all parliamentary sovereignty, and I stressed the value of Dicey's 3 points as a tool for analysing claims about parliamentary sovereignty. Remember these 3 points and you have a framework for dealing with an exam question. So I repeat them. Firstly, Parliament can pass any law it wants. Now, Dicey was contrasting the UK position with those in countries like the United States, where the legislature can only do what the Constitution allows. In France, it lists what Parliament's responsibilities are. In the UK, Parliament can do whatever it wants. First point. Secondly, and I've amended this, is no Parliament is bound by its predecessor. So David Cameron, looking for a legacy, can't demand a referendum or a special majority to pass in order for changes to his legislation in future parliaments. Every new day, a parliament can go back on what's been done before. It's not bound by entrenched measures. Thirdly, no court can question what Parliament has done. So these points are a useful framework for explaining parliamentary sovereignty, but also looking at how our membership of the European Union and the European Convention on Human Rights affects the traditional doctrine. And I would stress to you, remember never to give an examiner any opportunity to question whether you understand the difference between the European Union and the European Convention on Human Rights. An answer which seems to confuse the two can be fatally flawed. It'll get a fail if you've mixed the two up. So make sure you're clear in your own mind. And if you've got any questions, get in touch with me about it. Then we looked at civil liberties. I contrasted the traditional approach that we are free to do whatever we want other than where the law has specifically prohibited it, to a position where specific rights are protected, particularly but not exclusively from state interference. These came after the experiences of the early 20th century, particularly in Nazi Germany, but also elsewhere. And we see it in the United Nations, but for this course in the European Convention of Human Rights, where specific rights have specific protections. I stress the importance for this course in knowing precisely what the key provisions of the European Convention on Human Rights are. Firstly, what is covered by the right. Secondly, what are the recognised restrictions on the right. Thirdly, and I would really underline this one, how rights are balanced. You know, it could be between different rights, or could be between the rights of one person and another person. That principle of balancing rights is central to the European Convention on Human Rights. And the importance of knowing specific cases. And for a start, on privacy, make sure that you've looked at the Campbell case and the Murray case. We finished off by looking at TMAs. The first TMA, due in fairly shortly, is about conventions. Lots about it in the news and worth looking over. Are there examples that you might want to bring in from what you've read? So for the TMA, I want you to be defining conventions, discussing the role and significance and where they come to play. I am looking for concrete examples of conventions, and central to the question is discussing why they are observed. You know, why does the Queen say, I can't refuse the royal assent? which she would do if you got the chance to ask her. She would say, yeah, theoretically she has the power, but convention she wouldn't use it. So why wouldn't she use it? And I think the key to this is the costs and the benefits. There may be short-term benefits in breaching conventions, but with long-term disadvantages. Consider what the long-term disadvantages are. Now the second TMA is due in on the 6th of January, so and we've got another tutorial before then, so just a few points to look out for. Know what specific rights there are in the European Convention on Human Rights, specifically Article 8 and its case law and Article 10, and make sure that you understand the concepts of private information and the phrase which comes from Campbell, a reasonable expectation of privacy. Well, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.